Hello, everyone, and welcome to Four Mothers of Women's Spirituality online resource. I am your hostess and curator of the project, Vajra, and today we are here with artist, author, and activist Mayumi Oda. Hello, Mayumi.
Hello, everyone.
It's such an honor to have you here. What I'm going to do, Mayumi, is first read an introduction that puts our interview into context, and then I'll read your bio, and then we will get started. But I first want to acknowledge, next to you is one of your first, am I correct, in one of your first paintings, The Birth of Venus? We're seeing that, aren't we? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Everyone, women's spirituality emerged as a major component of what's known as the second wave of women's liberation, which took place in the 1970s and 80s. Actually, the women's liberation started in the 60s, and the emergence of women's spirituality was in the late 60s and the 70s and 80s. But many people today do not know about these courageous, radical, and by radical I mean to the root, women, the foremothers of women's spirituality, who developed authentic spiritual practices and experiences beyond the boundaries of patriarchal religions. These women followed their passion, their convictions, and they built upon a growing scholarly body of historical knowledge, and some brought through intact indigenous wisdom to point us back to the female and earth-honoring spirituality that preceded the past 6,000 to 10,000 years of the patriarchal father gods. These foremothers, along with many other feminists, pioneered a diverse spiritual orientation based in respect, reverence, and relationship with all. These foremothers are significant not only historically, but because many of them are still today carrying on their vital work, and that is why we've created the Online Resource Center, to provide an historical overview via personal testimonies and personal recollections of those first two formative decades of women's spirituality, and to inform you of their ongoing work. We invite you to meet these women now in the form of taped interviews, with more interviews and resources to be added as we go along. Today we are meeting with one of those foremothers, Mayumi Oda, and our interview is taking place in the year 2018. And Mayumi, I'm going to read your biography for everyone so they get a sense of the scope of your work. Mayumi's life as an artist began as a small child, as Mayumi's mother sought to bring a joyful creativity early into her daughter's world. That nurturing instilled a desire to make her mother happy, and so becoming an artist was born of mutual love and an innate knowing, rather than a conscious intention. It was truly your dharma, wasn't it, Mayumi? Yeah, drawing for 12 hours each day for 3 years in school formed a discipline while honing Mayumi's eyes, hands, and mind to draw anything she wanted. As a Zen Buddhist, Mayumi's father also imbued the importance of concentration and being present, things she embraced even more as an adult practicing Zazen meditation. Mayumi graduated in 1966 from the Tokyo University of Fine Arts, and from 1966 to 1968 studied at the Pratt Graphic Center in New York. She has always painted authentically from the heart, never for commercial appeal. Her art has been inspired by female beauty. Painting goddesses contributed to an inward self-awareness while presenting an outward positive expression of feminism. From 1969 to the present, Mayumi has presented more than 50 solo shows internationally and has numerous private and permanent collections at the Museum of Modern Art, New York, the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, the U.S. Library of Congress, and more. By the age of 50, Mayumi had reached unparalleled artistic success for a Japanese woman of her time. She's become known as the Matisse of Japan. She's the author of Random Kindness and Senseless Acts of Beauty. I love that title. Her memoirs, her memoir, Saraswati's Gift, is a wildly colorful artist's retrospective, Dharma teaching, ode to the divine feminine, and manifesto to a peaceful future, and that is just about to be published. As part of her social activism, in 1992, Mayumi co-founded Inochi.us, meaning life force, under which she established Plutonium-Free Future, chartered to educate Japan's nuclear policymakers. She spoke to the United Nations World Court of Justice in The Hague and received recognition for her commitment to a nuclear-free world over the past 25 years at the 2016 Pioneers Conference in Berkeley, California. By 2000, Mayumi Oda founded Ginger Hill Farm on the Big Island of Hawaii, where she educates about organic and sustainable farming. And that's where we are speaking to you from now, isn't it, Mayumi? Welcome. What a life. What a...
Welcome, everybody.
Yes. Let me put you on speaker view here so we get a good, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
What I love about that bio, which I took mostly from your website, is that you bring in your parents, you bring in your ancestry, you bring in the love that is the base of your work and what brought you to draw from the heart. I'd love to hear about your early experiences with your art, and you focus a lot on goddesses, and your art is so important to so many women in the 70s and 80s, and continues to be. So would you give us a sense of how you began and how that evolved for you, your art?
My upbringing was really mother like a Kuan goddess, and the father was he was trained in Zen in the University of Kyoto, and it was I didn't think, it was something special as a child, but we had a really good, loving father and good, loving mother carrying me and really insisted to be creative. So that's really, I think I had a very fortunate upbringing.
But it shows in your art. There's so much beauty, so much joy, so much grace, so much love. So it really does shine through. Would you like to tell us about the beginning of the birth of Venus, which is right next to you?
Right. Can I?
Yes.
Show it? Yeah. This is it's an etching. It's about over 50 years old. When my son was born 50 years ago, he's about a 51-year-old. I made this etchings in Pratt Art Center in New York. And I thought it was nothing about it, but it somehow made me realize it was a birth of a Venus. So I titled The Birth of a Venus. And now I'm doing a book of etchings with my assistant. And so this will be like how the goddess came to me. It's exactly, it happened. And I had no idea other people were interested. Person like you, Shireen. I kind of like stepped into everybody's subconscious, how women wanted this world to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a common theme in these interviews of the emergence of women's spirituality, is that it's coming from within. Many women felt like they were the only ones, and then we started finding each other. Yeah.
Well, yeah. We have a comrades,
Absolutely.
But those days, we felt like we were in catacomb of in Italy. That was a secret, things to do. It was kind of scary, but we did it. And we all became incredible friends.
I love that you bring that out, Mayumi, that it was scary. Because what I want people to understand through these interviews is that it's not easy for anybody. it takes
Right, and
courage.
especially as me, as a Japanese woman, probably I still in Japan I'll be considered to be a ridiculous woman, bad woman, you know.
Are you still in Japan? You would be considered that?
Probably,
Uh-huh.
you know, if I go in the public
Yeah.
and talk about the.
So I know that you said that you moved out of Japan because you had become liberated. Would you tell us about that?
I was married to an American, a Jewish man who is a great writer named John Nathan. Actually, he's a wonderful man because I'm not married to him. And he's a beautiful writer. And he taught me how to write and how to, be as an American woman. And it was a very, very special relationship that I had with him. And I had 2 sons from him, and I never got married again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, good. I'm glad you had a good husband. They're hard to find.
Yeah. And he still is a very good friend, you know.
Yeah.
And I love their family, his families. And I really always wanted to be a painter and be somewhere in the single. The painting was most important for me.
So how did you start finding the other women in the movement? How did that happen?
Well, the Maria Gimputas's book came out. Remember that?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
And then lots of women started really realize what was going on, and then we all became great friends. And so that's pretty much, I think, in ancient, Mesopotamia culture was all women-based, and which was kind of like hidden.
Yes.
From American, regular culture. So we went back to the ancient and finding all goddesses been there. And it's been there and it is here now.
Absolutely. And that's what's so important is that this was not a flash in the pan, and this was not only in the history, this is ongoing. The goddess is emerging.
Right.
And we see that through your art. You have some prints there with you. Do you want to show us? Because I know that your personal journey is very engaged with the images that you've made. You've said that, so I'd love to hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was the one, because of the cover of the small book called The Goddesses. When I published this book, Goddesses, I thought nobody else was interested in goddesses. But because of this, and it was, it somehow, this book went out quite a bit. Some of you may have it in your mother's bookshelf, possibly.
Yes, yes, oh yes.
Like 50 years old now,
So was that the book Goddesses was very influential in connecting you with the other women in the movement then? They found you that way. Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
They found me through this book. We didn't have internet in those days, It's a different story now.
Yes.
But the books are very available for a lot of people, and it somehow connected to me to right people.
Yes. Yeah. So how old were you when you moved over to the United States, or did you move to Hawaii? You moved to New York to study, didn't you?
I went to New York and studied, and I was 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in New York in right time. I marched with Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, it's real. Something was happening there in New York.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's an important part too, is that the women's spirituality emerged out of the time of the civil rights movement the protest against the Vietnam War. So you were marching.
I was marching, marching, yeah.
Yeah. I love that, because so many people, one of the purposes of our interviews is to let the younger generation know that how radical
Right. We were.
Yeah.
Right.
And still are. Yeah. So I'd like to know about how your social activism came about. You had a vision.
Right. So 1992, Japan, government of Japan decided to really go forth with the nuclear energy. And I thought it was crazy, because my country was already had but that time about 40 nuclear reactors. They want to make into the 50 nuclear reactors. Yeah. And I foresaw the problem that's going to happen in, for instance, like Fukushima.
Yeah.
I felt like the country who had Hiroshima and Nagasaki, how dare do this horrible nuclear energy, you know? And that's how I started the Foundation of Inochi with my coworker, Claire Greensfelder, and other spiritual people in Berkeley, because we couldn't do this in Japan. It had to be Berkeley, California, to do this organization. So Inochi really focused on the importance of life force for future generations. And we did every possible way to make this, whatever things be important for life. Nuclear reactors, also, what do you call the turn of GMO-free stuff.
Oh, yes.
Genetic modifying. So the modifying genetics, and how dare people do this kind of stuff? It's nuclear stuff is something else, but the genetically, creating future generations. I mean, just the crazy stuff people are going in, and somehow I stepped into it and did this organization, Inochi, to really support the life force in a natural way.
Yeah. Again, inspired by love, by connection to the goddess who is nature and the cosmos itself, who is I believe our innermost self. For women and men, is the goddess. Right. So in Berkeley, it was called the Rainbow Serpent International. Is that right?
Right. So this is the one that I worked with this friend of mine, Claire Greensfelder, who had so much. She was a student of like Belle Abzug. Remember Belle Abzug?
Bella Abzug, yeah.
Yeah. So Belle was very much into women's power in the world. So they used to have an organization called Women's Development, Environmental Development Organization. Mm-hmm. And so they are really worked, one of her work was to work with Belle to bring out, educate a lot of women and for future generations. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's all these people who are influencing us in many ways.
It was truly a network. It was a collective joining together of power and vision. Where do you think we are today with that in terms of women and collective vision?
Well, it's a very difficult place now, but our president,
yeah,
is doing a lot of work for us in some way, that we don't particularly have to work hard, because he's the one telling all kinds of lies. I don't know. But I think in somehow I feel like a lot of people are so against, president. But I think no other president can bring our interest in this way as he does. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I agree. He's waking us up. He's a wake-up call, isn't
Right, that's waking. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it was in response to his election that
Right.
we had the Women's March on Washington, which became global, absolutely global. So women are waking up, and I think that your art is even more relevant today. The joy, the power, the feminine beauty and vision, we need it more than ever.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You have some more prints down there. Can you show us more of your art?
You want to come and can take this one this side and show it. Can we do?
In 2 pieces. Oh, yeah.
Close to come here.
Uh-huh.
These are women working in the garden, the cabbage field.
Beautiful.
It's a big silkscreen print. I don't know how I did it, but we did it. And anyway, so that's that. And so the dakini.
Yes, the black dakini. This Vicki Noble put this on the cover of her book, Shakti Woman.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine too.
Yeah. Tell us about. Right, she is her good friend. Tell us about the black dakini. Tell us about the ferociousness of this dakini. What does it mean? What's she doing? And
dakini. This is the cup of skull, and she pours her blood to the skull, and it really takes a lot of courage and a willingness to die for the cause, Yeah. And dakini is nothing that worries, nothing in her mind to establish something she really wants. And that's, I think, the power of women, power of dakini within us.
Yes.
You can explain it a little better.
Oh, but you absolutely, you explain it with your image, but absolutely, she's dancing in flames. She's drinking from the skull cup or holding it. She has the Kartika blade up in her right hand, which cuts through all illusion. I love the dakinis myself, and I really appreciate your image of the black dakini. And that's exactly why what you said is exactly why Vicki Noble put it on the cover of her book, Shakti Woman. We can draw courage from your art. There's the beauty, and then there's the ferociousness, and the beauty in the ferociousness and strength of a woman. Yeah, it's all there in your art. Yeah. Do you have more there to show us?
Yeah, more. Let me see. This is a song, name is a song from Bob Dylan, and it says, Goddess gave a name for all the animals.
Well,
I was very fond of Bob Dylan, and so I used his song for the title, and the goddesses of all women, all the animals.
Well, and it reminds me of Lady of the Beasts, which is prevalent in,
Exactly.
yeah,
Right. That
that's what
book
it
is
is.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And what a difference that is than Adam in a garden naming all the animals. Uh-huh. This is the real deal. Woman naming the animals and the Lady of the Beasts, which far preceded
Right.
the Garden of Eden. So tell us what the animals are there that are at her feet.
It's ox, lion, elephant, rabbit, deer, panthers, the birds, turtles, and the sheep. I think 12 animals.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So are there more? Do you have more there that you have?
There's a few more. This is called the tier of trees. And it's Kuan Yin was born from the tier. Avalokiteshvara Kuan Yin was born of the tier and of the people, you know. So
Yeah.
it's a tree, and she's sitting in it, and it's a green Tara. Tara is Tara was born tier from Kuan Yin, Avalokiteshvara. So it's a tear of her, hoping, you know, because the world is going crazy, and how she can help in this world, you know, almost like it brings a tear. Yeah. There's so much to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. That's really beautiful. I'm trying not to talk too much because when I'm talking, the image is of me, and I want people to see the images.
So this is the last one. It's from Hawaii, that's where we are. And a lot of people do surfing. And this is called the Mamara, the surf rider. And I think Hawaii has a very specific Pan-Pacific culture. And very important thing is like ohana, the family, care each other, be good to each other, the aloha. Aloha means to be with the ha, the breath. So it's, to me, that is now that I'm trying to really learn aloha, to be with the breath, so that we don't get breathless being too busy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So get kind of restful and be with ha, the breath.
Beautiful. I love her. She's wild. I love her. She's as wild as the wave, but she's riding those wild waves. It's really exquisite.
Husband. She had 2 husbands. Hawaii is like a multi-marriage, and, you know, it's not one, you know, man and women deal. It's like it's very different from other culture. It's nothing sin to have 2 husbands, you know, women being more sort of mixed marriage. And
yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. So, you know, being with the aloha, is happening on your farm. Are you still working with people for sustainable farming? And
well, my son's taking over the farm, so I didn't. I mean, you know, he said, Mom, you can paint. We'll do the farming. And they do beautiful farming. And we eat all organic, wonderful food. And we produce medicines. It's really working well. Wonderful. And I have a same sort of garden in Nara, in Japan. the 3 women are taking care of this farm. Very organic, wonderful farm. So, work still keep going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying that you have a farm in Japan that 3 women are working, and then the one here in Ginger Hill in Hawaii, your son is taking over so that you can paint. I saw you in Who Does She Think She Is, a movie that was done in 2008. Right, and you were saying that, I think that was in there, that you were saying that you can do, with your social activism, some people can educate better or do this or that, but only you can paint the paintings that come from you, that truly is your unique gift. And I'm glad that your son is supporting that.
Yeah, he's been very, yeah.
What are you currently working on in your painting?
Well, I'm trying to do 33 form of Kuan. I don't know when it's gonna come back, Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I can't wait for that. Yeah. So how was your work received in the commercial art world?
I mean, I can support myself as an artist, so I've been lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But I get really good training.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think art is something you can make up and easy, but to me, art really takes a lot of discipline, and I'm trained for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Yeah, yeah. It truly is a skill and art, and requires skill. So right now your focus is moving more into your art as you're letting go of the farming, letting your son take care of that. Uh-huh. Yeah. What would you like to say to the younger women, especially at this time? What is your advice and your guidance?
Because and pay attention to the world and yourself and a family around you. Mm-hmm. But always, that is the part of the whole bigger world and the universe. I watch the sky in the night. This farm doesn't almost like no lights in the night. I can see the sky, and you're the part of the universe. So you have that feeling. And at the same time, you have a family to care, the family who takes care of you, and a neighborhood people. The people who works around you, they're all important. Mm-hmm. And it's just the love, the aloha is the most important. Mm-hmm. And thank you for doing this so that you can reach so much bigger people, bigger, audience. And yes. I'm really grateful for your work. It takes a lot of energy to do this. A lot of research, and thank you for all of it.
Well, thank you, Mayumi Oda. Thank you for opening up your studio to us and showing us your art. I know that there will be many women, especially, but men too, who may not have seen it before, who will be awakened through this beauty and this power that is displayed. Yeah. I will include links to your website so that people can go there and stay connected. And we look forward to the publication of Sarasvati's gift.
Right.
Your memoir.
Really, hoping to do a good editing of it. It's very complicated, a book, so it takes a lot of energy to do it.
I know. Editing is what it's all about, isn't it? When it gets down to it. So thank you so much. Everyone, thank you for joining us here with Mayumi Oda today in the 4 Mothers of Women's Spirituality online resource. And we'll see you next time. Blessed be.
Thank you.